Welcome to Malcom Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcom and Rachelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcom Reed, joined by my lovely wife, Miss Southern Shell. And we got a guest today, Shell, Mr. Eric Lee, the fire dancer.
What's going on, everybody?
Thanks for coming by, Eric.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. You stopped by earlier this morning, and we cooked competition chicken.
We did. Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Really like what y'all got going on here. It's cool.
Oh, we appreciate it, man. I guess we go back. You're a Mississippi native, turns out, from Brandon. Is that where it is?
Well, I wouldn't say native. I was moved to Mississippi in Byram, right outside of Jackson. So
yeah, okay.
I was forced to go to Mississippi, but
Okay.
I left and went back up to Arkansas.
Well, we'll still claim you since you're kicking, since you cook so good. I'm telling everybody you're from Mississippi.
There you go. There you go.
But you've been, man, I guess we met each other out doing barbecue competitions. KCBS, right?
We did. I think the first memory I have is we were over at Ashland, Mississippi, and the fire ants were running crazy over there. I think that's the first time we actually spent, and that's been 7-8 years ago, when we sat there and just fought fire ants all day long. And
I remember it, man. I think that was one of the fairgrounds ones when they had it there, wasn't it?
with one porta john.
Yeah, with one
for the whole contest and everybody there.
Everybody, yeah. The carnival people and everything, right?
It was crazy. Good times, though. Good times.
I missed that contest, man. That was one of the first ones that we started doing KCBS-wise, and it's been around a long time.
They had a couple over there, if I remember right.
Yeah,
right.
we did the one in the spring, too. They had one, like, they called the Ashland Spring Fest, and it was, like, down on the corner down there in this dirt field.
Yeah.
And then they had that's the one with the fire ants, wasn't it? Then they had the one at the fairgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where it was. And it was
long time ago.
Long time ago. We've both had some good luck there.
You got more hair than I had back then. Yours are still dark. Mine's turned gray.
There you go.
Don't look too close.
Don't look too close. Yeah, Shell brings that up to me all the time. But so the video this week, we're going to talk about competition chicken.
Yeah.
And it seems like when we're out cooking KCBS contests, at least in our area, whenever you're there, we're chasing you in chicken. So
yeah, you're always usually top 5, but if you're not top 5, you're top 10.
Well, something's wrong with the judges if it's not top 5 or top 10.
Most time it's first.
We're always right there together, though, so don't sell yourself too short on that.
I think we are strong in chicken. That's one of our stronger categories, but you are always up there.
Oh, I asked you, we were talking, and you 200 contests. Is that what you're approaching?
Yeah. This is Royal Weekend, so the Open, which I guess it's Sunday, that'll be my number 200 KCBS, which is crazy.
And when you go look at those, what's been your strongest category over
chicken.
all those? Chicken's been in?
Chicken by far, brisket's right behind it. But and as we were talking about earlier, my cook revolves around chicken. Everything kind of goes how chicken goes, and if there's a high call on chicken, it's usually going to be a pretty good day. So,
that's what we say. So goes chicken, so goes the contest.
That's right.
Man.
That's right.
You know,
You're not going to win unless you get a chicken.
A lot of people throw chicken out. I guess because it doesn't take as long to cook, and it's the first one. They're worried about the big meats and all that, but you can't overlook that chicken.
And I think a lot of people overthink it too. They way overthink it, kind of like building a box. I think a lot of people overbuild a box. Just my opinion on it. You're not going to see the green in the box, but if you do too much to the chicken, you're going to hurt yourself. Just like anything, but especially chicken.
I've out judging. I've seen it where the chicken gets lost in the garnish. Yeah. They're overbuilding it, and they're cutting the pieces down way too small. Right. Doesn't even look like chicken at that point.
No. And when I judged, I'm a judge, and when I judged, I would score down if it didn't look like chicken. So mine looks like chicken, tastes like chicken, acts like chicken.
So with your recipe, let's talk about the recipe a little bit.
Sure.
You, it's kind of a pretty standard competition recipe where you put your rub on it, put it in a pan, you get some smoke on it, put some butter. But what makes it unique is the seasonings that you developed over the years to turn it into your chicken rub now. That really gives it some good savory notes. And that balances with the sweet and tangy sauce you put on it and the smoke. I mean, I thought that was what makes it. I see why that chicken does well. Good. Because when you bite into it, you get a great tasting piece of chicken that's balanced all the way through. all those elements are there.
And that's where you want to be. If it's too spicy, and sometimes it'll be a little too spicy, and you're gonna get half the table that doesn't like it. So trying to hit, everybody says middle of the road, but that's where I came up with the chicken rub, and I use it on my vending trailer. I've got a vending trailer as well when I do holiday turkeys, and use it on some fish as well. There's some citrus, there's some lemon, there's a lot going on there with it. I wanted to get down to one rub, and that's where we are now.
Instead of bringing 3 to do chicken. Yeah.
Exactly. I kind of stumbled into this whole rub business. So here we are with it, and it's been scoring. I know it scored very well this past weekend at the contest I was at. Mine didn't score as high, so it's always good when somebody wins with your product,
right.
And especially when it's good people doing it.
Hey, we play that game too, man. It makes us, if we can't win, we want somebody else to win with it, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's spread the wealth.
Yeah,
you can't win them all.
So
we buy frozen chicken because that's the only option we have. But you said you stressed the fact that you use fresh, not frozen chicken.
I do. And I try, sometimes it happens to where I place my order that it'll come in and they have to put it in the freezer or something, or there's some miscommunication, but maybe it matters. Maybe it doesn't. I don't, I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I do know that once it's frozen and it's thawed out, there's a lot more of the clear chicken juice in there, which I want to hold on to, when we're there. Like I said, looks like chicken, tastes like chicken. Let's not get rid of what's there.
So where are you getting your chicken locally? You live in Arkansas now.
I live in Arkansas. We've got a good local grocery store there that I've made friends with the meat market, and he can order them in for me, and I usually get it by the case when it comes in. I like the air chilled chickens that are out there. Whole Foods has got some. Harps carries a brand, and even we've got what's called an Edwards Food Giant. They carry an air chilled chicken as well.
Yeah. So is that like the Bell and Evans or the Smart Chicken you see, or
and then the Paula Deen, the blue Springer Mountain.
Mountain.
All three of those.
So it's a little bit higher. You're paying. It's not just like Tyson. Or going to Sam's Club and buying the big pack, you know it's been froze.
Yeah, I don't cook those. Actually, last year when we were cooking in Jackson, there was a 2-day contest, and the first day I cooked thighs, and I knew that drums had won, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go get some drums, just see how those score. Went to Whole Foods, bought some Bell and Evans, cooked legs, and the first day scored higher than the second day. So it's a crapshoot when we're doing this, but yeah, I like the non-frozen, fresh, air chilled brands when they come in.
So when you get a case of it, are you sorting it for size or anything at home before a contest?
I do. It's gotten pretty bad to where I cook thighs. I've played around with drums a little bit, but I'll cook the thighs. I can grab them in the 4-packs that they come in and tell which ones have a little more meat to it. Try to get the same size. Doesn't always work out the same way, but I'll go through a case to get down to 16, and then try to get six in the box.
And you're doing all that trimming and sorting at home, right?
At home. I like to do it in the middle of the week. So when I get to a contest, I want to have everything done as much as I can. It's getting harder and harder these days, but usually I would have everything trimmed, come in, get the meat inspected, and I want to go back to a hotel by 5 or 6 o'clock after dinner and be in bed by 8 or 9.
So let's walk through this chicken schedule then. So in the video, the first thing we did was trimmed it, and you'd already done that at home.
I've done that at home. Yep.
I call it a non-aggressive trim because you didn't
scrape.
Yeah, you didn't take the skin off and scrape all the fat. You
dig out those veins underneath.
I want it to look like chicken. I leave the knuckles on. I think if you pop those knuckles off, you're setting yourself up to get some blood in there or some.
I've had it happen to us.
Yeah, or even some bone shavings that might pop off into some of the meat around there if you don't get it. I just let it look like chicken.
So you just cut the little oyster piece off that's up there, the kind of little nugget and then square up the sides and then take the fat off, and that was it.
Take the fat off. Then there's one little cartilage pack down there on the bottom of one of the knuckles that I try to trim off. But if it doesn't come off, that's fine. They shouldn't be eaten down there anyway.
So once you get your meat inspection at the contest, the chicken stays in the cooler until what time? What time are you getting it out and starting?
I usually about 4. I get started. I cook on a offset jambo, so I'll light my fire around 4 o'clock, and that's when I'll get chicken arranged, and I cook in the pans. So I'll arrange it in the pans. Put a little dry. Put a layer of rub on there so it can kind of get a little dry brine
on the bottom.
On the bottom.
On the skin side down in the pan. Let that sit for several hours.
Several hours, and then about 3 hours before I put it on, it stays in a cooler with ice. And about 3 hours before I put the chicken on, then I'm putting some rub on there and injecting it and setting it up the way it's going to sit in the turn-in box.
And you're using just the Butcher's Bird Booster chicken.
Butcher's Bird Booster, yeah, the original. I've always been hooked on that for a while. When I first started competing, I didn't inject or brine or anything with it, just cooked with it, and it scored. But as competition has changed, now you got to hit them with that one bite wonder.
Yeah. You ever tried the honey or the chipotle?
I tried the what's the fire
open pit? No, that's
it's got an open pit pork.
Yeah, it's kind of like the rotisserie.
The rotisserie. Yeah.
I've tried the rotisserie, but I've gone back to the original way it is.
We've been using the honey for a while. I like it. It's kind of still got the chicken. The original is great chicken flavor, and I think that's what you're using it for, to put some more moisture in there and get those phosphates to retain some of the natural moisture, and then to make it taste like chicken.
Exactly.
You don't soup it up or anything. Use apple juice.
Just the way he mixes it. I'll mix up about 10 or 11 ounces to
package directions
to the
one
instructions.
Scoop. It's one scoop, I think.
One of his, he's got it pre-measured out. I think it winds up being 3.5 tablespoons that's in there. Yep.
And so it gets injected, and you re-season the top and just let it hang out.
Let it hang out for about an hour before I put it on the pit. And then kiss it a little bit for about 30, 45 minutes with smoke. Cover it up, butter it up, and let it run.
Do you have a favorite wood that you're burning most of the time? Or
I favor peach, but pecan. It's really preference that you've got there. Peach is a little milder. It doesn't put any extra color on it. I know we ran some oak or hickory today, and it came out.
It tasted great.
It tasted good.
I thought the flavor was good. It wasn't over. Sometimes some cookers you burn that much hickory and you're thinking it's going to be strong. No. But that chicken, it didn't have. I mean, it was just you knew it had smoke, but you could. I don't think anybody would have said, "Oh, that's hickory."
No, it ran clean enough to where we didn't. It's usually a little bit darker than what I'm usually cooking with the peach because it's not getting that heavier smoke on it. But it doesn't really matter any milder type wood, I think. But it's not getting a lot of smoke as well. So
what I thought was unique about your recipe was that you didn't start with butter to begin with. Now, I know we always do. We always put our butter in there, and a lot of people do. But I like the fact that you just had the chicken in there so it could absorb that smoke around it. And then you come back when it's time to wrap to get that extra bit of rich fat in there to really cook it.
Mm-hmm. And you use just margarine too.
Right. Yeah. I've tried using some of the heavy fat butters that were out there, and
we use like
Kerrygold.
Yeah.
And there's one I can't remember what it's a heavy fat content. Seems to leave a mark on it the way because I put the pats on top of butter on top of it.
And that was good too because we've always tried to put it around. But you made sure that skin had that fat on it and it melted down. There's about a tablespoon, I'd say, on each one.
It is. And sometimes it'll run off, but it makes me feel better when I put one on.
Yeah, you know it was there. You don't know what it does once you cover the lid on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I might bump it and they all fall off. But
it gives you like a pre-measured amount. You know you're putting the same amount of butter in every pan of chicken you make because you're sticking to that one pat on top.
And that's the deal when I say my cook revolves around chicken. I'm doing the same thing every time with chicken. I'll bounce around on some of the other categories, but chicken, it's going to be the same thing every time.
So when you get the lid locked down on it, you shut the cooker back down, you're still running, tick over 300, and then you just walk away for an hour and a half.
Got to, or I'll find something to do
That's beer drinking
mess it up.
time. That's time to go have a cold beverage.
That's when everybody's doing their good luck shots. So I make sure I hit as many of those as I can. So.
Get in the right frame of mind.
Got to.
And right before, let's say it was 10 minutes, I get about an hour and 20 into the covered process. That's when you warmed up your sauce.
It is.
Put your rack on the grate, which was a great idea.
Yeah, we've never done
I've
that.
never seen that. Yeah.
And I just stumbled into that because I just put it on there with the sauce one time thinking, well, I don't want to open the lid twice. So that was just one quick drop of the lid because I want to keep that heat going.
Do you have other meats on there, at a regular KCBS contest at that point?
Yeah, ribs will usually come off right when I'm about to do that, but everything else is off.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of running those Jambos. They're made for that. I'm screaming hot. And it's a little different than some, but you kind of have to have that with those big meats like that and chicken.
So once you see that, that hour and a half's up, you're strictly going by time. When you feel it, you can kind of tell that the chicken's tender, wanting to come off the bone pretty much. It wouldn't take much effort. You're dunking it in the warm sauce, getting it on the rack, and then letting it just sit and glaze, right?
Yeah, let it sit until it has that color I'm looking for. And we talked about this. I've got a playlist that I've had for 7 years since I've been doing the competition, and I know when the next song comes on when I need to take the chicken off.
Chicken's probably done.
It better be done.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way through the whole cook.
Or you're pushing it like right to the turn-in window to get that chicken off.
I like to go a little bit early just because I'm a one-man show. And if I fall behind, I want to have that extra cushion on the back end instead of for chicken.
Right.
So I usually try to hit the front end. It'll be done about 10 minutes for the turn-in window, 5 minutes for the turn-in window.
That's pretty daggum close. You're not giving any time to mess up. Yeah.
And I've got my 8 there, so it's really going to come down to which 2 do I not want to put in the box. So it's done when I set the sauce.
So you kind of know when you're doing 16 pieces that this is pan A, this is the one I want to get my 6 best from, and then the others are just in case. Oh crap! Something goes wrong, right?
If I drop, thank goodness I haven't dropped one. But if I happen to drop my grate, I've got those there. They're still cooking on the side. They haven't been set with sauce, but I can salvage. You
usually don't set all 16.
I set 8. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I'd like
so
to
you do cut it close.
I'd like to do 6, but I'm not brave enough yet.
You taste one before you turn it in?
I don't. I wait. I turn in. I come back. I'll mess with ribs a little bit, and then I try to time it when the judges are taking a bite, and then I'll take a bite and see. And that's it. That's chicken.
So what it is what it is. There's no testing or tuning at the very last minute.
It's over with.
Yeah.
And I judged for a few years before I started competing, and I'd rather have some pork skins or something else to go along with the cold beverages instead of some of the
barbecue
they're tasting.
Yeah. I understand that, but I think somebody could take that recipe and go out and be ready to compete in KCBS chicken.
Yes.
So.
I agree.
If they've got the discipline, I'll say that. And that's hard.
It seems so. You make it look a lot easier than it really is. I guarantee.
When you say the discipline, you mean to not mess with it and jack with it.
I think that hour and a half of constant heat is key.
Covered and rendering that chicken. Yeah, that's what gets it done. And that's what's that we usually. And I may adjust my timeline now. I hadn't cooked chicken since you've done that, but we were to the process. We were doing an hour wrapped. And sometimes we would fight the skin. And that's why we got to where we were spending the extra time scraping it and all that. And, of course we usually temp it and you get readings and they're all over the place because it's chicken been cooked in butter like that.
It never gives you accurate.
Yeah. Because you can temp it and it'll be 195 and then you take it out of the butter and it drops to 155 and you'll never get it back up to 170. There's no way to get it back up there. I've tried. And so it's chicken's one of those things, man. You make it look easy, but it's really not.
Back to what I said, overthinking.
Yeah.
If I ever probe a piece of chicken, that'll be the end of me.
I
never have.
Leave the thermopen for.
Never have. I've done a few classes in the past, and that's one of the questions you usually get. Well, what temperature? It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
You can try it, but I'm staying away from
Worried
that.
about that temperature and that time.
That's
Time and temp.
Well, with thighs, you can take them up, to over 200 degrees and still be juicy, still, have the tenderness and
Especially when you shoot them with the butchers.
I guarantee you these are well over 200.
Yeah.
So especially
We should have tipped one just because I want
no, I wouldn't let you.
You wouldn't have let me?
I wouldn't let you. I wouldn't
You'd
let
have
you.
had to do it
Well, he
behind
had to
his
think.
back.
You told me you don't like to poke them. You don't
Right.
let any of that juice out.
You want to retain
You're
as
not
much as you can.
pigtail flipping them. You're not poking them with a thermal pin or anything. It's just
Let it go.
yeah. And win first place.
Hopefully.
Get you a chicken check.
Hopefully. That
Jill
makes the
likes
ride
those
home
chicken checks,
easier.
too. It does. So, what else about the video show? You got any other questions?
Well, normally I say, what would you do different? But
Nothing.
Yeah, that is one he don't do, and I guarantee you
got
that's
this
one
system
reason why
down.
you've been so successful in chicken is that you don't change.
yes, I think the biggest problem that some people get into is they start chasing stuff. They get a bad score and and let's say ribs, and then they start, well, so and so uses this rub, and they start trying to incorporate that, and then they.
You're not calling me out, right?
No, it's just calling me. It's just calling me out because that's
Pretty
what I'm
much
doing.
Everybody,
are you doing that now?
Yeah, I'm chasing ribs right now. Every week, I haven't had the same recipe.
Yeah.
So you're going against your
Myself.
own preaching.
Yeah.
You know better, man.
Everybody I know does that.
They won't change this weekend, though. I'm going to run with what I've got.
What you got?
So you cooking that recipe at the Royal and the Invitational this
Oh
week?
yeah. That's my setup. I've got basically one little pan with my rubs in there, one box with whatever I use, paper products, full pans, and everything else. And if I don't have it, I'm making sure I find out who my friends really are. If I leave a rub at home,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Nothing wrong with that, man. That's what barbecue's about.
it is.
So you mentioned earlier, and this is what we wanted to also talk to you about while you're visiting with us, was your vending food truck that you started out. You're a full-time barbecue man now.
I'm full time now. I was in corporate America for a little over 24, 25 years.
Yeah.
As with corporate America, things change, and there were I was helping my folks with some health things going on, and the time was right. So I bought me a 24-foot vending trailer, put a old hickory double wide on the back of it. Started setting up around where I'm at in Central Arkansas there, and 2 or 3 days a week I'm vending and catering and doing that, and then competing as long as I can on the weekends to do that as well.
So that's driving your competition hobby.
Well, yes, it is, and that's actually how I got into the rub game. I was not going to use what we do on the competition trail with all the different layers and everything else, and I wanted to settle on one rub.
Well, it's too expensive.
It is.
If you were to take all the stuff that we do at a competition and try to translate that to a food business, your profit's gone.
$50 slab of ribs.
Yeah, you'll have good food, but you won't sell it to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's where I came up. I've got a chicken, I've got a chicken and a pork, and then I've got a salt, pepper, kind of all-purpose as well.
Whoops.
Hey,
there you go.
somebody like the rubs. You hear that kick in?
Dinner's ready.
And those are seasonings that you use on the food truck as well as competition.
I use them daily on the food truck and catering when I'm doing everything, and I'm using them on the weekends in competition. I'm not going to say I'm strictly using them in competition, but there's not far away from, if I might add, an extra little enhancement or get a back end heat from something else. But so I'm using them on the food truck.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to sell it, you got to stand behind it.
That's it.
That's exactly right. You
That's
gotta
it.
be able to cook it with it.
My mentality was, if nobody buys it, I'll use it on food truck.
Yeah.
So when you started the food truck business, did you go out and take any barbecue classes for business wise, or find you a mentor that kind of help you along the way, or did you just jump in?
I jumped in. I had a pretty good idea. In college, I was in the restaurant business, waiting tables, and kind of knew that nuance of it, but I'm pretty much a one-man show. I'm acquiring the product.
It's just you?
Me.
Yeah. Nobody helps you?
I'm cooking it. My wife and daughter, which is our team as well, when they're around, they help. But my daughter was home.
Is that why she moved to
college.
Baton Rouge?
That's why she took off. She came back for a week from
Scared you were
studying.
gonna put her to work on the food truck?
I put her on there, and she liked those tips for a little while.
Yeah.
But my wife's a different story. Her quote is, "I've already been to my day job." And I was like, "Okay, I understand. I get that. I hear that." But yeah, it's usually me. I'm getting the product. I'm cooking it. I'm prepping it. I'm setting up. I'm getting gas for the generator, and
You have no employees.
none.
So I've got questions on all that I want to talk about.
Sure.
When you first started, like what kind of licenses and local regulations did you have to? What would it take? I know every state's different, so it doesn't apply to everybody. But in Arkansas, what did you go through?
Yeah, how did you find out what to do?
I wish there was a manual or someplace to
Yeah.
go that you could find out. But when you're working with different counties or different cities and different states, you've got a hierarchy of what you have to get for a permit for this. And then there's A&P commissions where they want everything else. It's pretty much trial and error. The health department will help guide you to a certain extent, but it's really up to you. I had to, once I ordered the trailer, you have to map out the trailer, send it in to the state. They send an inspector out. They want to make sure it's health department certified. Once you get that stamped, then you're free to open up and
So
set
that's
up.
your license. Did you have to go take like the Surf Safe class and get?
We don't have to in Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah, we don't. I think it's a good idea for everybody.
Yeah. Just so you don't make anybody sick.
Right. And you want to make sure you're within those guidelines, because that's the last thing you want to do is make anybody sick, especially when you're setting up in smaller communities. Last thing you want to do is make the Sunday school teacher sick.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody knows real quick.
Find another business.
When you're depending on word of mouth for people to tell them about your business or to go eat your barbecue,
Sure.
The first time you get somebody sick, it's it. Your business is done. So.
And that's just not good. I mean, that's just not the way I operate. I cook it fresh every service I do, and I usually do about 2 or 3 a week when I'm opening the retail window for it. It's fresh food. I might freeze it and then warm it up, but it's not going to go longer than a couple of days.
So did you have to go get a tax number for tax purpose, sales tax, and all that in Arkansas?
It's a good idea to get your tax number. That way you don't have to pay sales tax at some of the big box stores when you're buying. And it helps if you're buying, within the state product. Like my rub comes from Townsend. Shane, I think you had Shane and Lawson here. Yeah.
Oh, no, Shane and Lawson, great guys.
They've been great to work with. You also have to get, where I'm at, you have to get a city advertising and promotion permit. And then you have to pay the taxes to the city, and then you've got to pay state taxes. And then
So they're coming at you from all sides.
They're coming everywhere, and that's partly why I'm the only employee, because once you start whittling away at that profit, I'm at the point now, and I've been saying this for about a year. I need to get some help, but I still haven't got any yet. So, but if I want to amp it up and take it up a couple of levels, that's the way you have to do that.
Yeah.
So
Start
when you're talking about starting out, did you go open accounts at like certain purveyors like Cisco or U.S. Foods or something? Or
I did. The first thing, this is a spinoff from the competition team, and if you're a team that's getting hit with 1099s, you need to LLC or incorporate quick, because that's the easiest way to kind of get under that umbrella. So I had all that set up. I was ready for that. So it was a little easier to go set these accounts up, because they want to make sure you got your tax ID number and you've got a bank account tied to it and everything else. But I've mainly been going to will call windows. We've got Benny Keith over there, PFG and Cisco. Benny Keith and PFG are my main two suppliers. They've got pretty good products, and they want to make sure everything's set up. I go to the will call. Instead of, since I'm a mobile location, they won't deliver to a retail address. So,
and in Arkansas, you can be fully sufficient on your truck. You don't have to have that commissary or that kitchen tied to you.
Exactly. I'm totally self-contained. And we're there. I've got a generator in the back of the truck, and that runs everything. So
that's good. So you can go wherever you want and be ready to set up shop
anytime. It's always great to have power and water and everything there, but if you need to get up and go, or if you got another event that evening, shut down about 2 and then head on over to one that's going to open at 5. That makes it easier.
Well, let's talk about some of the equipment you needed to start up with when you first. I mean, I know you probably had to. You mentioned the double wide old hickory, and the trailer. What else did it take you to get started to be able to vend?
It's you have to have everything. I mean, you need the to-go pans. I cook everything in like hard pans because it gets real expensive if you use the throwaway full pans.
Every one of those adds up, 50 cents here and there.
You gotta have everything, and I mean you gotta have I put bags and napkins and forks in with every order of mine, and that all has to be factored into the cost of what you're putting out as well. But I mean everything. You're basically building a business from scratch.
So you bought refrigeration, freezers, or
when I built out the trailer, I had a refrigerator put in the trailer, but it of course didn't work when it got there. So it took me 6 months to get that fixed. But I've got refrigerators and freezers, luckily lining my garage at home, with that's kind of my base location of throw everything in the garage and it's easy to get to.
Yeah, because that's where you're going into the day. You're going back home and parking, right?
It is. Parking. Luckily I've got enough room at my house. I can plug it in, and I've got a 50 amp plug into the house, so plug it in and let it go. But I also bought a CVAP. It's a warming cabinet.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably have to have a warmer to hold something that's safe to above 140. While you're holding. Yeah.
And I load that up. I can measure out how much, depending on the location I'm going to be at, of what I know I'm going to sell, and have it in there. And then I bought some of the little full pan steam, water steam, like Vulcan. Because once I get to a location, it's basically I've turned into a concession stand. Everything's done.
Yeah.
They better be done with barbecue.
Yeah, because you don't have. Yeah, it better be, because you're ready to serve as soon as you open the window.
And it's me. I'm alone on the trailer, so I'm taking the money. I'm ringing it up. I'm fixing the product. And
a lot of times that's what people don't see. They think it's I'm just going to set up and sell barbecue, but it's the hours that go into where you can even open your window to sell. That's where the hard work comes in. I mean, it's fast paced when you're slinging the barbecue out the window, but all the time and all the energy it takes to go to get the supplies, to cook all the food, to get it ready, to get to the location, man, that's hours right there.
And it adds up quick. And I think with doing so many competitions before I jumped into this, and you have to have a plan. You have to figure it out. If you just go into it, well, everybody likes my barbecue, I'm going to sell it. You're setting yourself up to fail. And you're going to stress out your family. You're going to stress out your finances. I mean, you really have to have a business plan. And I had one going into it of where we were.
So you kind of sit down and had that idea.
You got to, or I mean, I'm not sticking totally to the plan because I haven't hired anybody yet.
Well, hey, it's flexible because it's just you the boss.
Yeah, I'm the boss. I can get mad at myself. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love every bit of it. I sleep well at night. I mean, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
So
is it harder than you expected it to be, or did you have a good idea?
It's hard, but I knew it was going to be hard. It's just a matter of me finding that, trusting, finding the right person to trust to let go of the brand that we built and everything else. And that's 90% of everybody's problem.
Right. Yeah, because it's you. It's your representation of you. That's
right.
So you mentioned this earlier. How did you figure out when you first started, how much meat you needed to buy for a service? How'd you calculate all that, or know if you were going to sell any? Because you got to do something with it if you don't sell it. So
that's exactly right. I purposely cooked low because I wanted to run out, and I wanted to build that buzz as well. I was like, well, better get there, sold out. And the first place we set up was a high traffic area, but where I live, it's a bedroom community, so a lot of people weren't stopping for lunch, and I was just setting up for lunch. So I would sell out every day. And then I got in with the Chamber of Commerce, and we did some of they call it taste of, where you can go in and sample your food to people around the community and everything. And when I knew that was working was when some other people came by. They were like, sold out. So they had already heard about us, and the sold out was working.
Yeah.
And then it got gradually quicker after that. I mean, further after that, when the volume picked up some, I had to cook a little bit more. So right now with the volume that I'm at, I would rather sell out than hold on to some of it.
So just going forward, you just kind of slowly add, speculate what you're going to do, and then cook a little bit more? Or
And I'm a year and a half in, and I keep notes on everything, every category of every competition and everything. So I've got notes going back from what I did last year, and I can kind of see when it's going to spike up. We're coming into football season, tailgating, so we'll get a little bit busier, and then the holidays.
That's very, very smart.
It's
easy to forget about that kind of stuff when you're in the middle of slinging barbecue.
And it's hard to do that, but I have to, and really it's to keep my sanity, because I still have to pay the taxes every month.
Yeah.
You've got to keep up with your sales. You've got to see how they're tracking, how they're trending, where your expenses are with it. A lot of people, cooking good barbecue is one thing, but you've got to have that business side.
That's right.
That's true.
You've got to.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I've got all of it, but it's good to have an idea of you want more pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
So since you're a one-man show, you try to keep your menu small where you can manage it, or
It is. I'm cooking the three. I'm cooking pork, brisket, and chicken.
That's your main proteins?
Every day I'm going to have that. Now I'll fold in a special. I'll run some rack of ribs as a special one day. I'll do, I did a brisket pork belly sandwich one day. I'll do a pork belly, bacon, lettuce, tomato on white bread sandwich. I'll sprinkle in some.
So it gives you,
specials.
that's what's great about it. It gives you time to work some of that in, where people see that and they're like, man, it's more than just going to get in a pulled pork sandwich.
No, it is. It is. And I'm trying to keep everything to as close to a one process. Since it's just me, I just want to have one circle around, take the money, go fix the food, come back, give them their money. And then that way I'm keep doing the circle every time. I wanted to do nacho. I do nachos every now and then. I'll do tacos every now and then, but the biggest seller I've got, I call it mac and Q. I make homemade mac and cheese, cook it on the smoker, and then I'll put pork, brisket, or chicken, whatever they want on it with sauce.
Oh man, I bet that's good.
It flies.
Yeah.
And that's an easy. You scoop the mac.
Scoop it back, hit it with sauce, and away we go.
Or you slicing brisket like to order, and
I will. I've got one location I go to at Air Force Base that I have to have everything done before I go out there, because it's
the volume.
It's on.
Yeah.
It's busy
on.
out there.
How long does it take you to sell out on lunch service?
2 hours. I'm usually done, and I'll go through a case of brisket.
Wow,
Just
really?
brisket.
Yeah.
And then I'll go through 6 butts probably.
Man, you're printing money there.
It's I don't know about that. That's and usually that's a Thursday going into a competition, so I still have to go home and trim meat for the competition, and I sleep well at night.
So you're doing the food truck 3 days, or you ventured into like catering or special event cooking or something too? Or
I try to open the trailer 2 days. It's just a lot for advertising. Catering is everybody will tell you that's the way to go. And
that's where you're finding out that's where you want to be.
That's where I want to be. That's you know.
Yeah, scheduled. It's guaranteed. It's
there. It's there. And I mean, you can actually have some kind of work-life balance too when you know what's going to hit that week, instead of setting up.
What does your typical day look like? Do you go different places, different days? Do you have a set schedule like that?
Right now, I'm just going to 2 different spots, so I've got it pretty well lined up. Since we're heavy in the competition season, my week's pretty much planned out. Monday is usually the dead day. I'll either open Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on that. But I have to go get the meat, cook it the day before I'm going to set up, and then we start the process. So it usually starts a day before.
So you're loading the pits overnight and letting it roll, or when it's ready, when you get up and get ready to pull out.
It's ready, and I put them in the warming cabinet, and we're ready to go.
But I imagine the day before, you've got to buy all your supplies, all your forks, napkins, things like that.
And it never fails. Once I get to a location, I haven't brought my side containers. So what am I going to do here? And that's where having a checklist and following it is good. But those are all great in theory. But once you get into it, you're trying to go by what you remember. So I made many calls home, said, "Hey, can you bring me this, and this?" So.
Well, I was going to ask you what's some of the biggest pitfalls or troubles that you've had along the way so far?
It's when you're setting up daily, you never know if it's going to be a good day or a bad day, or rain is the main thing. We got hit in the spring, and several trucks shut down where I'm at. Just couldn't sustain that.
Yeah, because you got to think, you're buying all that stuff, all your food, everything, the supplies, and then if the people don't come, what are you going to do with all that you've already got cooked? You've already got invested in it.
You're exactly right. I'm an amateur weather forecaster.
So that's going into your plan too. You're watching the weather a week or so out to kind of see what days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's if it's 40-50% chance and I'm going somewhere, nobody's going to come out for that. So I make the call as early as I can, and I'll post on my Facebook and Instagram where we're going to set up through the week and sprinkle in what we've done in competitions, and that's going over really well. Yeah. I don't have a set schedule, and I've moved locations a couple.
But people
times.
Follow you because they get used to following you on social media. I mean, social media is a big business driver for it. Yeah.
You need to do that, especially if you're in the mobile food market. Mm-hmm. You've got to be connected. And there's a couple of apps out there that I haven't jumped on yet. I'm just letting it ride with Instagram and Facebook.
That's how I used to check it. That's how most people do. Yeah. I don't have the food truck apps.
Well, that's a great thing about catering. You don't worry about that foot traffic. You already know how many covers you need to cook for. How many people that they're going to have, and
exactly.
It's kind of a set menu deal. So. And you're getting paid a lot of times up front, regardless of what the weather did.
I do a disposable, and then I can do the full blown setup. But
yeah, so you do drop off and
drop off.
You can do a wedding.
If they want it, we can do it. But drop off is I can get somebody to deliver something and drop it off. That's easy. It's when you start having 3 at different
times
and spots in town, and they're trying to keep everything warm, and that's when it gets a little challenging. But that's what I was saying. I can get somebody to go somewhere else on the other side of town and drop that one off. But I think the largest one we've done is close to 400 folks. And
wow, that's a lot.
It is.
Have you done any hogs yet?
No hogs.
Surprising, being over in Arkansas. You think everybody
wants you to do a hog? There's not a lot of we've got a real good meat market there that does a lot of hogs for presentations. They've done that.
That's your good niche, man. Do those little suckling pigs.
I've got the equipment to do it. That's for sure. I could put 3 or 4 of those on that double wide.
Well, what's your competition like? I mean, that's a big thing people don't think about. They decide somebody's told them, we love your barbecue. You ought to start selling it. Jump right in. You don't even look at things like your competition. I mean, in your area, what's it like?
Well, there's a few chains that are there, and there's a couple of Memphis and May champs that are there. Good friends.
You're the Little Rock market, pretty much. So that just gives people the scale of what size. I mean, it's a good sized town.
Yeah. I think it's about 300,000 is what the MSA is. And going back to my old roots, knowing what marketing service area.
It's a big small town.
It is. Yeah. It is. You can fly in and out. You need to go wherever you want to, but word of mouth travels pretty quick. So you want to have a good base to go from, but there's not a lot of smaller food truck type barbecue places that I've seen around there. But barbecue's subjective. I mean, everybody has their own opinion if you need 6 sauces or 1 sauce, and I'm running 1 sauce on my trailer. I'd like to run 2 or 3, but it goes back to it's me. Yeah. I want one process. I don't want to sit here and talk to somebody. I try to get an order out between 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes. So I want
that's
to
good service.
Run it quick.
Well, have you noticed that you doing a lot of the competitions and being successful in the competition side has transferred over to giving you some notoriety around, your area with the food truck?
It helps. And I think a lot of my regular customers, they like to keep up with, well, where'd you go this weekend? What'd you do here? And then they start.
They're little cheerleaders.
Yeah. And then they start looking back on, you've gone. I'm not big on putting past accomplishments, advertising them too much, but on my trailer, I do list a few of them where we've won, what we've done at the Royal, what we've done at the Jack, and things like that. And it says Championship Barbecue because that's part of the advertising.
Yeah,
you got to get that out there. So they see that and pulled in and said, okay, let you be the judge. Go for
That's
it.
it. And it's working for you. That's what's the great thing.
It is. We're liking it. We're liking it.
Well, have you noticed your sales ticking up and getting better over time, every time? Or?
They are. Word of mouth helps, and just being available to them. There's a lot. I mean, there's pluses and minuses of a brick and mortar, and that's probably going to be our next step. But I don't think it's going to be a full blown brick and mortar. I say that, and it'll turn into a full blown brick and mortar.
Well, I know you do. You do classes too. You've mentioned, selling your rubs and stuff retail. I'm sure you got some merch. And then if you're going to, do keep the catering going, all of a sudden you've got a big business that you're putting together. I mean, that's you never know where it can go.
Pieces there, yeah.
Just build a brand, different lines of business.
Do you see it go in restaurant one day or more towards this other service type barbecue business?
It's still up for grab. Of course, I'd like to be like an exclusive caterer.
Yeah.
But
we can show your talents, right? More pit mastery types.
Also, where I'm at, there's not a lot of especially the one town I set up in. There's no barbecue brick and mortar restaurants, so there's an opportunity there for that as well. Yeah. But we'll see.
Do you sell your rubs on your truck?
One location I set up out at the Air Force Base. I do where I set up during the week. Sometimes there's been this big push farm to table, so it's like a smaller little farmers market. They stock my rub, and then I put the sauce in some jars, and they sell some of that in there, so I don't have to go through the whole FDA thing, and all that. So they provide that, and then I also smoke cheese,
kind of cottage.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's not a full blown farmers market, but they're bringing in fresh fruits and produce and everything else.
I mean, we see a lot of that. I mean, even our little town has one around the square where people set up and sell their wares like that. And that's a great way to get your name out there.
It is.
Because you got to start. I think to me, you got to start local community. That's where you start, and wherever it goes from there, you never know. Once you do it right at home, I mean, that's the beginning and how you do a successful business.
Oh, that's where we're at. I mean, the brand is known where we're at. So with us coming out with these lines, I think we've done it about a month. We've had them out, so it's just now starting to take off a little bit.
So you do cheese?
I do.
Do you only do that around the holidays, or do you do it year round?
I cold smoke it. So I wait until we get that first breath of cold air, and then
I hope it's coming.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. That's it. And a lot of my customers are sales reps or sales guys, so they'll give them a bottle of wine with a block of the smoked cheese for their holiday, or so that's another.
Yeah, you got to have multiple avenues.
Right. And I totally was wiped out this year with some of those cottage industries. They bought me out because it was flying.
That's great.
Flying off, and it's good. That's
How do you package it?
I vacuum seal it.
Yeah.
And just let it age.
Put a sticker.
Yeah, put a sticker on it, and that's it. But it's good.
It's good stuff. Yeah, some of the best pimento cheese make with some smoke, cold smoke. Oh man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sausage.
You couldn't do it today, though. It just melt.
And I thought about, because we've got the demand. And I thought about it, but that would just mold once it got all this humidity in it and vacuum sealed it. So, no, it's a cold, which that kind of adds to it, too. I mean, people
can't get it year round, right? They're looking for it when it comes time,
Increase the demand. So, has it stopped you from competing?
It's getting close.
Yeah.
It's getting close.
Or slowed you down, I guess.
The fire's still there, but honestly, it's there comes a point in time when you've got to figure out yes or no. I've done, like I said, coming up on 200, and it for a while it was averaging 30 contests a year. I thought this year I'll probably be close to 25 or 26, but I took off last year for some of them, but It's tougher when you got that pork butt there and you're going to get paid when it goes out the window compared to sitting there when they start counting down 10 through 1.
It's a guaranteed grand for sitting up for 2 hours at a lunch.
Exactly.
That's true. You just have somebody to bring you a trophy, see?
A check. I'll take the check.
I'm with you. I'd rather have that check than that hardware. Well, if you had to say,
go ahead.
Well, I had one more question I wanted to ask you, and it was just if someone was really wanting to get into food truck, they're serious about
That's
it.
the question I was going to ask.
Was it really? What's the well? I mean, he may have more than one, but what's the one thing or two things that that you would tell and give them some advice out there? We get a ton of questions about
people all the time
Yeah.
saying, "I'm looking to start up a food truck." I think that should be your class. You should give a class on how to start up a food truck.
Well, let's see how it goes. We're still a little new on it.
So, what do you wish? So maybe I should have rephrased it. What do you wish you would have known before you started?
You've got to definitely have a plan, and you've got to factor in, that 2-cent fork goes straight to your bottom line. I mean, you've got to make a profit on it. That should be number one. You have to build out your menu before you get the trailer, before you get everything else. You've got to know what it's going to cost you to get into it. If not, you're setting yourself up to fail. What's keeping me from going brick and mortar is I don't want to pay a lease. I don't want to add the employees. So that's my knock on it. But the very first step is you've got to factor in what your charcoal cost is going to be, what your gas is going to be if you're running an Old Hickory. Your time. You've got to buy a generator that's going to run it. You've got to have a good business plan to go into it. If you don't do that, selling barbecue or any type of, we've got a guy where I'm at. It's a biscuit truck, which he did the same thing. He came up with a business plan. He's very successful doing it. You've got to account for every penny that's there before you even open the window, in my opinion. So.
Yeah.
That's solid advice. Get that plan together.
It's tough if you don't.
I watched Barry Sorkin. He's from Chicago. He has a very successful restaurant called Smoke, and he gave a presentation on how he opened his business, and he spent over a year just working on his business plan. And he says that that's why he was so successful.
And if you don't have my background, I did that. I built out basically business plans for IT companies, and
he had a similar background. Yeah,
how much are resources going to cost when you bring them in, and what's your cost going to be, and then what's the margin going to be for the company? So I had that. That's why I've got spreadsheets everywhere. If you don't have that, find somebody that can help you with it that you trust. Just setting up and selling, you're going to be a king one day, and you're going to be begging the next if you do that.
It's a gamble.
It is.
It really is.
And a grind. It's a grind. So
we've done a few.
Yeah. No, we've dabbled in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot of work.
We did it enough to know that we didn't want to do it.
Well, you're trading your time for that money you're making that day, and you've got to be you're not going to make anything sitting at the house.
No.
You got to be out there, and you got to be willing to put that in on it. And you can make it. I mean, you can be successful. It's good money. You're making it yourself. I mean, you call the shots, you call the hours, the locations, the whole 9 yards. But when the bottom line comes down to it, you're not going to make any money unless you're out there doing it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I don't care how good a cook you are or what. You got to get out there and do it.
And luckily it lined up for me. Like I said, daughter went off to college, helped with my parents do some stuff, career changed.
Time was right.
Just jury's still out.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm in there. I'm doing it.
No, I respect you for it, man.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate you coming on, Shell. Do you have any more business talk that we got Eric here? We can twist his arm.
I want to talk about the American Royal real quick.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So that's this weekend. American Royal. What is the American Royal?
I'll let Eric tell us. He's going.
Yeah. How would you describe the American Royal?
I think it's the biggest reunion for barbecue folks. There is.
That's a good way to put it.
It's everybody. Well, almost the invitational, which is the first day, you have to win a grand champion to cook in that. They'll have between 180, less or more, a couple of 10 or 20 or so. The second day, which is the open contest, they'll have 500 up to 900. I don't know how many they've got this year, but it's strictly is that it's open contest.
Anybody can go cook
anybody can cook it. They have the big parties Friday night, the fireworks. I know y'all have been to it. We were there with y'all one year. The fireworks are great. It's a party Friday night, that's for sure. They come out with the bands. I don't know if it's Memphis and May quality style.
It's the biggest barbecue contest I've ever been to, been a part of.
It's as big of a party as Memphis and May. It's just different, I guess. I'd say.
I think because you're so spread out, you're scattered with serious people, little, people that are cooking on Weber Smoky Mountains or drums, and then you got people that have got these monster spots that's fully catered and got full bands, and so it's a different kind of contest. It really is. It takes up the whole infield at Kansas Speedway now. So, I mean, that's just the scale of it. If you can imagine a big NASCAR track, they've got it full, that whole infield full of barbecue teams. And it's really incredible if you've never seen it.
It's the place to be this weekend as far as for competition barbecue. That's why this is our 4th year doing it. I missed a couple years in there, but I like it. I'll just me personally, I'll cook the invitation and the open. It'd be tough to go cook the open because you got 600 teams there, but I'll probably keep doing it now. They start giving you little banners for 5 year, 10 year. And we've got a good spot now where we're at.
Will they let you keep the same spot over and over like Memphis and May?
You've got first right of refusal when it comes in. So
that's good.
That is good. I don't know. I know they're building a new complex. I don't know if they're talking every year. It seems like they're talking about moving it somewhere else, but they've got a good thing going right now.
I loved it when it was down in the old kind of Stockyards area, Kansas City down. That was awesome.
Get your feet dirty. Got to get your feet dirty. Walk on that.
I loved it. I mean, it was just. It felt like the American Royal, and we've done it Kansas Speedway, and it's cool. It's it's huge,
right?
But it just felt more like what I thought the Royal was when we were in its original location.
I think they're doing a contest down there now called the Bottoms or something. I think somebody started that.
That's a cool spot.
It is. It is.
The first year we went to the Royal, we did not get a hotel room.
We stayed out there.
Yeah, we got a porta-john and we were in our trailer. We didn't have a shower.
Then we rented one of those 1-800 RVs. They had showers there. Remember Lambert told us?
Yeah.
They got some really great showers
Lambert
there.
Was like, don't worry about it. They've got the best showers there. Have you seen the showers
How'd that
there?
work out? Oh, yeah. No, that's what I was going to say. How'd that work out for you?
It was a room with some spigots sticking out the top.
Old time football showers.
Yes. I
thought they washed the cows in there. I don't know.
Malcolm was like, this isn't it. This can't be it. So we didn't take a shower until...
Might have an electrocution problem.
You kicked over my water.
Uh-oh.
But...
We'll clean it up.
So, luckily we had somebody come in town that had a hotel room, so we got to go there and take one shower over the course of the weekend. But it was cold, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like you're hot and sweaty.
Yeah. I think I was there.
It'd be rough right now. You couldn't make it.
The weather's supposed to be nice this weekend. I looked at it amateur meteorologist, so I'm always looking at the weather, and I think it's supposed to rain Thursday, but then Friday and Saturday is going to be nice.
Not too hot.
No,
that's great.
No, especially on that concrete, you don't want it. I've been lucky. One year we went the first day was real nice, and then the second day, typical Kansas, it switched and the wind came in. And
that's the way it was when we were there. We didn't bring sleeves, and then we were scrambling to buy American Royal hoodies and sweatshirts and all that because you were freezing to death and the wind was rolling.
I think I was there that year, and I left and went to a store to buy some pants because I didn't have any long pants.
That's why we were in shorts.
I brought a hoodie.
It was cold. But it's always fun. I mean, that's a fun contest. You see everybody.
Everybody's there. We're going to give it a run. We're going to see it. That's one I've been close, real close.
Yeah.
Try to get you a crown?
I want a crown. That'd be good.
I think you've got a pretty good chance.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get some of this luck, some of this killer hog.
There you go.
Killer hog, how to barbecue right luck.
Be careful.
Maybe not.
It might hurt you.
I don't know about that.
Well, we're going to wish you luck this weekend.
I'll take it.
I'm pulling for you.
I'll put some prayers up for you.
I appreciate it.
I mean, how many does Darren need to win? You know?
Well, he handles it well. And he's feeding everybody Thursday. He makes
really?
pork tenderloins. Yeah, there'll be a line around the corner for that. Onion rings. I think it's expanded now to Wisconsin cheese curds. And
Yeah.
it's
They got a fryer for that?
They've got the full blown setup.
Yeah.
And a lot of the teams help with the cooking and everything else. It's good times. It's a good time. And then there'll be somebody will have a sausage night, and then it's just one after the other. Eat.
Yeah.
No drinking at all.
No drinking. Yeah, no drinking at all. There won't be anything.
Dry
cold.
county.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Is it a dry county?
No.
Surely not.
No,
I went
I
through it.
highly doubt
track.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no telling how much beer is consumed there.
Yeah,
Two Sundays out of the year at least.
You'd have about 15 teams there.
Yeah. I liked it there at the Speedway because there's so much else to do, you know? Because you get there on Wednesday, you need a good place to go.
And there's corporate parties going on,
Yeah.
and you can get all the propaganda
Yeah.
that you can carry. I think
Oh, yeah.
Reese's
It
comes
also say the
in.
potato
Yeah,
salad.
Yeah, my first year, I'm like, yeah. And then
Tubs of potato
I'm
salad.
like, where am I going to put this? I don't have any coolers.
That was one year we didn't have anything to eat. We just had plastic spoons and tubs of potato salad. We were sharing.
And they give you a bag or two full.
Yeah.
One year, Waylon got all that he could get
All the
and
potato
hauled it back
salad.
home.
He had a cooler
What are
full
you
of
going to
potato
do with
salad.
this?
Eat it.
Love the potato salad. Have you tried it? It's good when you get in the deep for 2 days. It's the best potato salad in the world.
Well, that's our time today.
All right. Well, man, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us and sharing your chicken recipe on the video.
Yes, thank you so much for coming.
Spending some time on the podcast. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media to see where you're set up and your
Talk
seasonings.
about your rubs.
Sure, I've got 3 of them. We've got the pork rub, which I've used it on steak and beef and burgers. It's just a good balanced rub that we've got out there, and the chicken rub as well. I know How to Barbecue Right. You guys
We
are
got the
selling
chicken
it.
rub and the pork rub. We hadn't got the all-purpose yet. But
Well, we can
Is that
take
the
care-
brand
we-
new one?
We can take care of that real
SOB.
quick.
I tried that one over at the steak contest at Shane's. I like it.
It turned out, well, you got to like garlic. It's got a
Yeah.
good garlic hint to
I
it.
do,
But
yeah.
it turned out right. Yeah, it's SOB PG version. I just had to hang up on the SOB part of that. But yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Got FireDancerBBQ.com. Got the website. Yeah, go out, check us out, follow us, follow along. Look us up if you're in Central Arkansas.
Find the
come
truck.
eat,
Yeah.
come eat with us, or call me for one of your office get-togethers or parties or whatever. We'll
There
do
you
it.
go. And come see you at the Royal.
If you can find me at the Royal, I'll get in pretty quick. Then I'll start roaming around
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and that's what I'm under a tent. So if I'm there, you'll see me.
Well, there you go. Michelle, where can they find us?
if you'd like to connect with Malcolm, it's HowToBBQRight at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube. If you'd like to connect with me, it's Miss Southern Shell on Instagram.
Hey, we appreciate y'all checking us out today, and we'll see y'all next week.